Hey kids! In honor of reaching 100,000 views, I've decided to celebrate by making another Japanese-related video. Quick disclaimer, I'm sure you can already tell from the title that this is going to be full of opinions, so yeah, please know that this is all subjective and please take it all with a grain of salt. Okay, with that out of the way, here is my top 10 list of Japanese words that suck to translate. Number 10, yoroshiku. If you watch anime, chances are you've heard the phrase yoroshiku or yoroshiku onegaishimasu. This is just one of those things that doesn't translate 100% into English. It's literally just the adverb form of yoroshi, which means good, but its actual meaning is closer to I look forward to working with you. I've also seen it translated as nice to meet you. So where's the problem? Well, yoroshiku isn't always said when you meet someone, and sometimes it's used when you're not exactly working with them either. For example, you can use it to ask a friend for a casual favor, like, "Ah, juice katte kurenai? Ato de harau kara. Ja, yoroshiku." Oh, would you buy me a drink? I'll pay you back later. Please and thanks. So yeah, in this instance, it's more of a thanks in advance. Kinda like how I started the video with yoroshiku, in the hopes you'll do me a solid and subscribe. Wink. Number 9, yahari, or yappari. I knew I'd have to add this one to my list. Yahari, or the casual version, yappari, means I knew it, or as I thought. For example, Nihongo wa yahari muzukashii desu. Or literally, as I thought, Japanese is difficult. Seems pretty straightforward, right? Well, the problem with yahari is that you can use it before you actually know whether your thinking was correct. You see this whenever someone uses it in a question to someone else, like, "Yappari neko datta ka?" Or literally, "Was it a cat as I thought?" But the problem is that as I thought in English really only works when you have confirmation of the outcome, like, you arrive on the scene and say, "Aha, just as I thought, it was a cat." But here, you don't even know yet. You're basically saying, I thought it was a cat, but is that what it was? It's awkward. Number 8, so iwarete mo. This is literally, if I'm told that, ... But it's complicated because it's usually a response to someone's ridiculous request. Like, someone is putting you on the spot, but you still need to be kinda polite about it for whatever reason. For example, このドレス、今すぐ長くしてください。そう言われても。Or, please make this dress longer, right this instant. And then, in this situation, I probably go with, I wish I could, but, or, I understand how you feel, but. So yeah, it's like yoroshiku in that it can't really be translated literally if you want to make any sense in English. Number 7, せっかく. While we're at it, let's talk about せっかく. This one can't be summed up by just one or two words. Basically, it refers to having gone to the trouble of something. For example, このケーキ食べないの?せっかく作ってくれたのに. Or, you won't eat this cake, but someone else went to all the trouble of making it for us. The pain in the ass part comes when せっかく is used by itself as the reason for doing the thing. For example, せっかくだし、雪だるま作ろう. Or literally, since we have this chance, let's build a snowman. In this instance, the implication is that this is a special occasion, or maybe just a rare opportunity to build a snowman. Sorry if I just put that Frozen song in your head, by the way. Moving on. Number 6, さすが. Here's another one you might have heard before. The literal translation is, as expected of blank. And these expectations are always positive. For example, この教科書もう読み切ったの?さすがだね. Or literally, this textbook, you've already read it through, as expected of you. In this example, the speaker is surprised that the other person read the whole textbook, but the implication is that they also know the other person well enough that, on second thought, maybe they should have expected it. Maybe the other person is Hermione Granger. So, while the literal translation would be, as expected of you, a more accurate translation might be, I should have known you would. Sasuga can also be used to highlight the expectations the average person might have for, a given situation. For example, ちゃんと教えてくれないとさすがにわかりませんよ. Or literally, if you don't tell me properly, then as you might expect, I won't understand. In this example, the expectations aren't specifically from the speaker, but more in general. So a better translation might be, if you won't use your words and tell me, how can you expect me to understand? The key implication here is that no one would expect the speaker to know without being told. Also, there's this thing where sometimes Japanese sentences end in question marks but aren't technically questions. I don't even want to get into it. Anyway, this leads us right into number 5, ちゃんと. As you saw just now in the previous example sentence, the literal translation is properly, but it can also mean like make sure to blank, and the implication is that whatever follows it is something you know you should do, or there's a certain way you should do it. It's a very mom-ish sounding word. So that's why in my revised translation I went with use your words, which is probably the most mom-sounding phrase in English. Another example, 寝る前にちゃんと歯を磨きなさい. Literal translation, brush your teeth properly before you sleep. But a better translation, make sure you brush your teeth before you go to bed. Speaking of mom, number 4, mama. Get it? Do you like my segue? Anyway, in Japanese, mama refers to the state of a situation or the state an object is in. The literal meaning is without change or as it is. If it sounds complicated, that's because it is. So, for an example, このままじゃ殺されちゃう. Or, at this rate, if nothing changes, I'm going to be killed. But, like with chanto, the meaning can change a little bit in context. For example, ずっと若いままでいたいな. Or literally, I want to stay as I am when I'm young forever. That's definitely not English, but you get the basic idea. I wish I could stay young forever. Here's another one. リンゴを摘み取ってそのまま食べた. Literal translation, person picked an apple and ate it just as it was. But a more English translation would be, I picked an apple and proceeded to eat it as is. So in other words, in between picking the apple and eating the apple, nothing changed. It sort of captures this unbroken state of being. Now, you might have noticed that technically the person who took the apple wasn't specified, because Japanese is fun like that, but I just kind of went with what felt appropriate and used I. Which brings me to number 3, 適当. 適当literally means suitable or appropriate, but the contextual meaning is more like whatever you feel like. Example, 空いてる座席に適当に座ってね. Literally, sit in whichever vacant seat you find appropriate. Actual English, feel free to sit in any open seat, or wherever you want. But then you see it applied to people and personalities, and then it gets tricky. Example, 彼はとても適当な人です. Literally, he is a very suitable person. Suitable my ass. A better translation is actually, he's a very inconsiderate person. In this example, the person is inconsiderate because they only ever act on a whim or do what suits them. You could also use flaky here. Another example, 恋愛がしたいからとはいえ、適当な人と付き合うのはやめましょう. Literal translation, stop dating people you deem suitable just because you want romance. Wait, what? Why the fuck wouldn't we date people we deem suitable? No, that's fucked up. A better translation would be, just because you want romance in your life doesn't mean you should just date some random person. I mean, do you get what I'm talking about here? Do you see what a pain in the ass this word is? Tekito doesn't mean suitable in the objective sense. It means suitable as in what you feel is suitable in the moment. But you'd never know that by reading a dictionary. Okay, moving on. Number 2, 余裕. Literal definition, leeway or margin. Example, 電車にはまだ1時間余裕があります. Literally, regarding the train, there is still a 1-hour margin. But more like, you've still got an hour of free time before the train comes. Again, like with tekito, the problem is when it's applied to people. For an example, 彼女は余裕のある表情で私たちを見つめた. Literally, she gazed at us with a loose expression. I mean, what does a loose expression even look like, you know? Well, in this context, it actually means relaxed or easygoing. Like, I guess you have the emotional leeway to not give a fuck? I don't know. Also, you can say yoyu by itself when you really ate something. Yoyu daze! Too easy. But that's the part that fucks me up. Like, how do I even begin to process that? I have an excess of skill, and that's why it made it super easy for me? I don't know. Anyway, number 1. Shikata ga nai, or shouganai. Well, there was no avoiding this one. Yes, that's right, shikata ga nai, or more casually shouganai, is my number 1 suckiest Japanese phrase to translate. Literally means it can't be helped, and people use the literal meaning so often that it can't be helped has its own TV tropes page. Seriously. So why put it as my number 1? Well, let me ask you, do you ever actually say it can't be helped in casual conversation? Is that actually a thing in English? No, it isn't. But it's accepted as the standard translation for shikata ga nai. And it's like, why though? There are so many other perfectly good English ways of getting that meaning across. You just have to stop and think about it for more than 2 seconds. Like, let me think of some. Okay, well, there's no way around it. There's no avoiding it. I guess there's no getting out of it. I guess we don't have a choice. If it's a tsundere, I might even just go with, oh, fine then. Like, there are so many decent ways to translate shouganai. Why would you ever use it can't be helped? So yeah, that's my top 10 list of Japanese words that suck to translate. Hopefully you maybe learned something new. Otherwise, I hope you at least enjoyed listening to me rant or watching me fail at Katamari. That's all from me. Until next time.